Spare. Thank you.
Yes, it's good out there.
Please stand for the Doctor of Pharmacy and Doctor of Philosophy class of 2024. You may be seated. Good afternoon and welcome to the College of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences graduate hooding ceremony for the PharmD and the PhD class of 2024. I'm Megan Wilson, the Associate Dean for Professional Education and Professor. It is so great to be here today with all of you. This is a day that many of you have been waiting for. And out of respect for this celebration and this occasion, I want to remind you of a few things. Guests will not be allowed to enter the aisles during the academic procession. Professional photographers will be waiting to take photos of everyone as they exit the staging area. Parents and friends of the graduates are asked to remain in their seats during the ceremony and refrain from standing in the aisles to take photographs or videos. A live stream will be available for this event on YouTube. I also need to ask you to silence your cell phone. We are grateful today for the many people that have made this event happen, including faculty, staff, and our community partners who are here to celebrate with us today. Thank you all. I would like to take this opportunity to set the stage for our ceremony today. Graduates, as you sit in front of me now, I am reflecting on the path that each of you took to get here. While I may know only a small portion of your story, your peers and loved ones that are here know the struggles and triumphs you have encountered along the way. Becoming a scientist or a healthcare provider or a healthcare provider scientist, it is not easy. It takes determination, sacrifice, lost sleep, and apparently quite a bit of caffeine. Before I introduce our speakers today, I want to begin the hooding festivities on the stage to take a moment and recognize a few of our important people here in this beautiful theater. So if you have a child who is graduating today and you are able, please stand. And I'm going to ask you to remain standing for just a few moments if you're able. If you have a parent or a partner who is graduating today, please stand. A grandchild, a niece, or a nephew, please stand. A sibling. Any siblings? Awesome. Lots of siblings here. A friend. Any friends here? Yeah? And finally, any mentees here? Okay. So graduates, please look around the room and see your loved ones. Yes. Absolutely. Graduates, as you walk across the stage today, take a moment to reflect on where you've come from and the people who have helped you along the way. Please be seated. Thank you. When you leave the ceremony today, I want you to think about your future and what you're going to do to make the world a better place. I will leave you this quote from Keith Campbell. Now go make me and them proud. It is my pleasure to introduce to you a very accomplished professor and scientist, WSU College of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences, Dean Mark Lead.
Thank you, Megan. Gonna have to bear with me for a minute. My wife works at a different pharmacy school in the Northwest, an inferior one. But I take a picture of the crowd every year. So I'm gonna take your picture. Would you like? Oh, Chris Greer, your eyes are closed. Gonna have to do it again, man. Sorry to indulge me that brief minute. Listen, I'm trying to get this phone back in my pocket. They don't put pockets in these things. I'm thrilled to be here for your graduation ceremony. I want to thank Megan Wilson, who just spoke, as well as students, their friends, family, esteemed faculty, staff, and university administrators. I also want to recognize our friends from Albertsons Company, Kayla Passmore and Jason Newmiller, who bankrolled this whole thing, and I deeply bankrolled the whole week. I shouldn't just say today. They've bankrolled the whole week, and I'm deeply appreciative for their effort. You might know the name Newmiller sounds kind of familiar to you, and I don't know which is the more famous Newmiller, Jason or Josh, but I'll leave it up to the brothers to decide that. We're also honored today with the presence of three people I would like to call out. The first is Chancellor of the WSU Spokane campus and Executive Vice President for Health Sciences at WSU, Dr. Daryl DeWald. I also should point out he's a professor in our college, and that was sort of strategic, Daryl, but I'm glad he's part of us. I also want to recognize Washington State Pharmacy Association CEO Jenny Arnold. Jenny is an honorary cougar, but a real husky, but nonetheless comes here and participates every year in this thing, and I'm so happy that she's here. And finally, our keynote speaker, John Michael O'Brien. John flew in from the East Coast. He's the president and CEO of the National Pharmaceutical Council, and he has vast experience in the private sector, in government and academia. And he gave me a preview of his talk last night, and I think we're in for a real treat. And I just want to also thank Julie Akers, who arranges these seminar speakers every year. I don't know where she gets these amazing speakers, but she told me last night she's already got next year's nailed down as well. So Julie, thank you. So we have both PharmD and PhD graduates today, and I want to speak to the PharmD graduates first. This wouldn't be a pharmacy school event, lecture, or graduation if we didn't talk about statistics for a brief period. And I have some to share with you one last time. And no need to take notes, no need to calculate the standard deviation or any of those things. You can just listen. So your graduating class totals 108 students from across both campuses. About 35% of you are male and 65% are female. And that is exactly the reciprocal of what it was when I graduated from WSU College of Pharmacy 41 years ago. We were 2/3 male, 1/3 female. And over those 41 years, it's flipped, exactly flipped. And I think that's wonderful. Your average age is right around 28 years. About 77% of you are Washingtonians. And those of you who are not from Washington come from all around the country: Alaska, California, Hawaii, Michigan, Oklahoma, Oregon, Puerto Rico, Texas, and Wisconsin. And I would be, yesterday, a student informed me that she was the oldest graduate in the history of the College of Pharmacy. I don't know if that's true or not, but she's the oldest one I know for sure. And before I say this, I say it with some trepidation because I've been married for a long time, and I have said my share of stupid things in my life, and this one could be judged as somewhat stupid, but she gave me her approval to point her out, and that's Colleen Dean, who is who is 63 years young. And I think that's an amazing feat because I'm also 63, and my brain does not work like it did when I was 23. So Colleen, you've achieved something there, and I'm very, very proud of you. So you've been vital. You obviously have some experience while you're in pharmacy school. You've been vital to the health of your communities. You started the pharmacy program in the fall of 2020, which was right in the middle of the pandemic. And it's exactly the same time I started as dean here at WSU. And so I've always had a special connection to this class, not because I saw a lot of them. I didn't see any of them alive and in person that first year. I saw a lot of them on Zoom, but it wasn't until the second year they were here I actually saw them in person. Many of you helped at mass testing sites during the pandemic and in long-term care facilities, even though you were just starting pharmacy school yourselves. You went on then, when the COVID vaccines became available, you went on to vaccinate tens of thousands of people. And that not just with the COVID vaccine, but with the influenza vaccine and several other vaccines, you've done a spectacular job. Pharmacists in the state of Washington have vaccinated about 70% of the patients who've been vaccinated, which is a tremendous feat. You, along with pharmacists around the country, remained on the front lines of healthcare all during the pandemic. You never went pharmacist and you never went remote, like many other of our healthcare colleagues. You worked alongside strangers wearing masks, and these were your new classmates, and you couldn't even really take the time to get to know them. Based on all of that, the faculty and I could not be more proud of you and grateful to see your beaming faces sitting here in front of us today. Congratulations. Your hard work and commitment to patient care have prepared you to advance the profession of pharmacy and become creative leaders for collaborative health sciences, not only in Washington, but across the country. Whether you choose to practice in community pharmacy, institutional pharmacy, non-traditional pharmacy, or pursue postgraduate residencies, or work for a pharmaceutical company, you have acquired the professional skills and the training and relationships you need to make significant contributions to improving healthcare and wellness in the populations you serve. The faculty and I are honored to have helped prepare you for the exciting next stage in your careers, and we offer our heartiest congratulations and very best wishes. So now I want to address the PhD graduates for a moment. The average age of the PhD graduates this year is 31 years. All of our PhD graduates have secured positions either in the pharmaceutical industry or as postdoctoral fellows in academia. Along with the US, you come from the following countries: India, Nigeria, and Albania. And we had a brunch this morning, and I was dead impressed by the number of family members, entire families, who came from India to see this graduation. I think I said in the comment, next time we need to charter a plane because there's so many of these folks coming. I know that being a scientist can be a long, lonely road, especially when that experiment is not working and it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I've been there. During the pandemic, you came to work every day. The college went remote, entirely remote, except for our graduate program. Those folks kept coming every day to work in the laboratory, and I'm extremely proud of them. You prevailed with your work to make breakthroughs in research, forging ahead to improve the human condition. So congratulations, PhD graduates. I want to turn to the faculty now. It's often said that the most important product of a university is its graduates, and that's totally true. However, it's the quality of the faculty that defines the stature and the reputation of a college and university. A university is its faculty, and I'm very privileged to work with a remarkable group of scholars and educators who comprise the faculty of the College of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences. This distinguished group of faculty behind me receive roughly $10 million in external research support per year, funding that allows them to conduct cutting-edge research at WSU and with collaborators literally around the world. These same faculty have provided the deep foundational sciences background and broad clinical training that has prepared the class of 2024 to be leaders and to thrive in a rapidly changing healthcare landscape. Will the members of the faculty please stand and be recognized? Staff, Sorry, I made kind of a laundry list of this. So I want to recognize and offer my sincerest appreciation to the outstanding staff members in the College of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences. These dedicated professionals work extremely hard to ensure student and faculty needs are met continually and that the college operates smoothly, including overseeing amazing events like this graduation every single year. And I'm deeply appreciative for their efforts. Will all staff members please stand or wave a hand to be recognized? That was a very brief stand-up, Kelly. All right. So to sum up, you've all experienced a tremendous degree of uncertainty at the initiation of your pharmacy education. You were isolated, and you had countless other headwinds. The last few years have truly tested your resolve, and I commend you for not just surviving, but thriving during one of the toughest times we've seen in decades. It's an honor for all of us to be here with you today in the presence of true healthcare and science heroes. Congratulations on this momentous occasion, and best wishes for a successful career. Go Cougs.
Thank you, Dean Lead. I want to introduce our first speaker today. It's our PhD candidate, Peter Obi.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming out here today. I must admit, when some of my classmates came to meet me and told me to do this speech, my first reaction was, you guys probably have more confidence in me than you should. But don't worry, I sneaked in my backup notes, so I think we're good for now. Thank you all for coming to celebrate with the graduating class, PhD class of 2024. A couple of years ago, a group of young men and women came from 4 different continents to make WSU Spokane their academic home, working at what some might regard as one of the most difficult academic achievements, a doctorate degree, a club open to only about 2% of the population worldwide. I don't make the rules, that's what I saw online. But throughout those years, we've seen it all. You know, the highs of breakthroughs in research, being able to publish, go to conferences, win awards. And then there are the lows of months of optimized experiments not working out, research mice dying just because you looked at it the wrong way that morning. And it's been a lot, but one thing is very important. You kept at it, showing massive amounts of grit and resilience. And today is proof of that. What we have achieved today would mean many things to different people. To some of you, it might be a justification for hard work. To some of you, it might be a reward for innovation and ingenuity. And for some of us, like me, it serves as something extra, evidence. So I don't have to, sometime in the future, have to make up stories about how hard I worked in school, like most of our parents do. And I also want to emphasize that you guys have been, or we have been extraordinarily productive. We're talking about 30 plus original research publications, 200 plus citations and counting, millions of dollars secured in external funding. I'm proud of what we have achieved, and I want to say congratulations. And before we walked in, one of the things I did to prepare for this speech was to watch a 30-second TikTok video on how to be the best class speaker ever. And one of the things they suggested was I was supposed to say something that sounds deep and profound. And the only thing I could come up with was 1 tree doesn't make a forest, which I believe doesn't sound so deep. But what the quote tries to acknowledge is that there has been an incredible support system for all of us as students. One part of that support system has been the faculty and staff of CPPS, who have done an incredible job in providing exceptional teaching and instruction. And of special mention is the graduate program with Dr. Catherine Meyer, our interim chair, and other faculty and staff affiliated to the graduate program. Thank you for all you do. You've been a big part of today's story. The other part of the support system has been you, family, friends, well-wishers, acquaintances who have been there. You cried with us during the bleak days, rejoiced and celebrated our wins during the good days. And you even stayed when at 1 a.m. you wake up to see your spouse crying about dead cells in a lab, but you stayed, and that's what counts. We are appreciated for that. I know my classmates, they have a lot of people to thank. I'm going to allow them to do that on their own time because I'm running out of time. So I would like to conclude this speech with another speech, which was given on September 12, 1962, by someone who some of you might know, John F. Kennedy. And in that speech, he says, "We set sail on this new sea because there is new knowledge to be gained and new rights to be won, and they must be won and used for the progress of all people." Why the moon, some say? Why choose that as our goal? We choose to go to the moon and do other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. And this goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our skills and our energies, because it's a challenge we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one that we intend to win. After this speech, in the next decade, the US had put a man on the moon and pioneered so many technologies that underline what we use today. With a rapidly aging population worldwide, our new moon today are the main diseases associated with aging: Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, some forms of cancer, heart disease. As we get these degrees today, I hope the graduating students would put the best of their abilities and skills to be able to blaze new trails, to pioneer new cures for these maladies. If you're not directly involved in the healthcare field, how can you help? Get a PhD. But if you can't, that's fine. Support the graduate program, donate to the College of Pharmacy, set up awards, endowments, advocate for science education and research. There's so much you can do as somebody who kind of supports the next generation of scientists to promote these skills. As we celebrate today's achievements and look forward to the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead, I'll call all of us to reflect on how we can always make sure that the quest for information and solutions to the world's most pressing health issues remains a priority for our society. And as you go back to your various destinations, remember, we choose to do these things not because they are easy, but because they are hard, and we will prevail. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter, for your wonderful speech. Our second speaker today for our Doctor of Pharmacy candidates, class of 2024, Spokane, Zach Matthew.
Welcome, everyone. On behalf of the class of 2024, I just want to say thank you to all of our friends, family, and loved ones that have traveled from literally all over the world to be here with us today. And for even those of you that weren't able to be here in person and are watching from home online, shout out to my Amaji, by the way. I just want to thank you again for all of your support. And I know that it means the world to all of us that you were able to not only be here today, but be with us on every step of this journey from the beginning to now and even moving forward. But to introduce myself, my name is Zach Matthew, and it's an honor to be chosen to represent my class today as one of your speakers. I moved here from California to the Inland Northwest specifically to be a part of this Coug family. I recognized that there was something special here. In the blood of the Cougs, there resides a sense of community, loyalty, and pride, and it runs deep in our veins. And it's recognized everywhere we go when we see that Coug symbol. I met my partner here, made lifelong friends, and made memories that I'll tell my kids about when I'm old and gray. Just to speak to some of those memories, I danced to Justin Bieber with some of my best friends in front of the whole campus. I lost every single trivia night at Soulful Soup. Shout out to the boys. And I got pied in the face for a good cause to promote the field of pharmacy. And now, while that all sounds like a blast looking back at it, I know many of our classmates here, just like myself, recognize that it wasn't always sunshine and daisies, especially with starting pharmacy school. We were famously known as the COVID class, and during that entire first year, we started essentially entirely online. And pharmacy school in its own right is very challenging and hard, but it's even harder, I promise you, when you're doing it all alone, or at least feel like you're doing it all alone. While it wasn't the experience that we signed up for, we powered through, struggled, and continue to grow no matter how our surroundings changed around us. We overcame Zoom chat rooms where we were too scared to turn on our video cameras and look each other in the eye, mostly because we were logging in from bed, but then we transitioned to in-person learning, and we essentially had to pick things back up from the previous years and pretend like everything was the same. We struggled, overcame, and achieved beyond what anyone had thought possible, all while the future around us remained unclear. We trailblazed new paths for ourselves during that process, and it finally led us to this stage at our graduation, and I'm so proud of each and every one of you. Now, we might be graduating today, but as Kobe Bryant once said, job's not finished. Each of us graduating now belongs to that COOG community, and with that comes a certain level of responsibility. We've had the guidance of our faculty and mentors passed down to us, and now it's up to us to carry the torch and represent that COOG community for all generations moving forward. Whether through teaching, precepting, or working out in the field, we will encounter bright young minds that are excited to learn about the field of pharmacy. And to the best of our ability, we have to try and leave the profession even better than we found it. And to the future and aspiring pharmacists that might be in the room with us today, I just wanted to encourage you to make the most of your time here and know that this time flies by. So value the time and friendships that you make, cherish every second of it, and just try to enjoy every moment of being a COOG while you're here and know that it continues for a lifetime. Cherish those closest to you in your life, for they'll be the ones to push you where you want to go. And lastly, class of 2024, congratulations on all you've accomplished this year. Go Cougs!
Thank you, Zach. Our third speaker today from the graduating Doctor of Pharmacy candidate class, Yakima 2024, Sergio Reyna.
How you guys doing? All right. Before getting started, I want to give a quick shout out to my family. Thanks for driving. I know it's far. To the farm boys, Christian and Adrian, love you guys and their family. Man, where do I even start? So, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed faculty, friends, family, and fellow graduates, 4 years ago, we made it. How did it go so fast? I'm just as confused. Man. I mean, could we have done it without caffeine? Could we have done studying? I don't know. I was just freaking out the whole time, freaking out now. I'm not the best at speeches. I don't know why I was chosen. It's an honor. Thanks to my Yakimaniacs for choosing me. But through it all, honestly, I'm just going to try to keep this short and sweet. You know, we're a small class, so yeah. Some of my best memories are from pharmacy school now, which is, I don't know, sad or like really cool. Like after every block test, we would all go Waffles Cafe, hang out together, nervously check our scores immediately after. Yeah, I'm just really honored and happy that we're all here, you know, through the tears, through the late nights, miss you, Kamal. I just want to cut through this and just come to the end. So I just want to say congratulations to us all. I feel like we've all earned it. And, you know, go Cougs.
Thank you, Sergio. We are honored here today to have a very distinguished leader whose experience spans the private sector, government, and academia. Dr. O'Brien is the president of the National Pharmaceutical Council, which sponsors and participates in research on the appropriate use of pharmaceuticals and clinical and economic value of pharmaceutical innovations. Prior to his role with the National Pharmaceutical Council, O'Brien was the senior advisor to the U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services and has held senior policy positions in life sciences and managed care industries, including Care First, Blue Cross and Blue Shield, a career official in the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services during the Obama administration, and has served as a health policy fellow in the U.S. Senate. Please join me in welcoming Dr. John Michael O'Brien.
Wow. Well, thank you very much, Associate Dean Wilson, and thank you, Dean Lead and Chancellor DeWald, and of course, Associate Dean Julie Akers for inviting me here. I also want to thank Jenny Arnold, the CEO of the Washington State Pharmacy Association, for being here today to administer the oath to the next generation of pharmacists. And Peter, Zach, and Sergio, thank you for your thoughtful reflections. Certainly made me want to change some of my remarks. But look, it's a real honor to be here with all of you today, and congratulations to the graduates on your remarkable accomplishments and your cherished memories. But let's take a moment and recognize all the family, friends, and faculty who are here today, just one more time. You see, education is often a family enterprise and a team effort, especially when one's education starts to stretch towards 2 decades in length. And it's been about that long since I graduated with my PharmD. And when I think back on that day, there are 2 things that I remember. First, Florida Governor Jeb Bush was our main speaker. And he said he was nervous, so he asked his mom, Barbara, what he should speak about. And she said, speak about 10 minutes, Jeb. So I'll try to follow the former First Lady's advice. However, the most memorable speaker that day wasn't Governor Bush. It was Michael Jackson. No, not that Michael Jackson. This Michael Jackson was the executive vice president of the Florida Pharmacy Association. And Michael administered the oath of the pharmacist that Jenny will lead you in later today. And when his deep voice slowly boomed through the auditorium, I will embrace and advocate change that improves patient care, I thought he was talking directly to me. And I might have even teared up a little bit because the call to advocacy resonated with me for 2 reasons. One, because all my mentors during my pharmacy education were either heavily involved in pharmacy associations as elected leaders or hired staff. And the second is, well, I'll tell you the second one later. But when Governor Bush handed me my diploma and asked me what's next, I proudly told him I was going to Washington, D.C. to be the next ASHP executive resident, and that I hoped to work for his brother, the president, someday. Well, I never did get to work for President Bush, but I did get to work for the next 2 presidents, one from each party. And this would be a perfect segue to tell you some really cool stories about being a pharmacist in a senior policy-making role and how I made a difference. But I'm not going to do that because I hardly need to tell you how that worked. We're in Washington State, where pharmacists become legislators, and pharmacists and pharmacy students have worked so effectively within their state associations to change laws. And it may be contagious because just across the river, my friend and fellow pharmacist Alex Adams just became Idaho's Secretary of Health and Human Welfare. Pharmacists being involved in advocacy is not novel, but it is making a difference. 9 years ago, Governor Inslee signed a first-in-the-nation piece of legislation that recognized pharmacists should be paid not just for dispensing drugs, but also as providers in their own right within their scope of practice. And just last month, he signed a law increasing pharmacy choice and medication access to patients while establishing greater oversight of pharmacy benefit managers. And if Jenny and Julie get their way, he should just keep his pen in his hand because they're just getting started. You already know how political and policy advocacy works. You don't need to hear my stories about working for a Secretary of Health and Human Services who hosted pharmacists at the White House for signing of a bill that banned pharmacy gag clauses for good, and who helped give pharmacists and pharmacy students the authority that we heard about earlier today, administering life-saving vaccines that were discovered and developed by pharmaceutical sciences. That authority, by the way, relied heavily on the work of former Albertson intern and your professor, Dr. Kim McKiernan. So they say all policy is local. I will say, though, those jobs were pretty cool. Being a senior government official is something that I won't forget. If you have even the slightest interest in government service after graduation, find me at the reception, find me on LinkedIn, and we can talk about how to get there. But here's my message to all of you. Regardless of where you're headed next, you don't need to work in the White House or the State House to embrace and advocate change that improves patient care. You can be advocates for change wherever you work. And the diverse experiences that we heard about earlier that you've had over the last 4 years have already begun to prepare you. Your time in local health departments or nursing homes working on COVID testing and other activities, and the strange new world that you had to adapt to by working in a lab in a highly restricted COVID environment. You've proven your resilience. You've seen dramatic change in our healthcare system in just the last few years. You've adapted, you've improvised, you've overcome. So what's next and what role can you play? First, let me take a step back. As Associate Dean Wilson mentioned, I am the CEO of the National Pharmaceutical Council. We're a 70-year-old health policy research organization in Washington, D.C. I lead a team of pharmacists, but none of us work behind the counter. Instead, we do policy-relevant research related to the value of innovative medicines and patients' access to them, and we communicate it with impact. But if I had to sum up the research we do right now, I'd say we know 3 things that we can probably all agree on. First, we're living in a golden age of biomedical innovation. The treatments and cures you've studied were unimaginable to me 25 years ago, and those that you'll go on to develop over the next 25 years are unimaginable to me now. Secondly, innovative drugs improve health outcomes and lower healthcare costs, especially when a pharmacist is part of the patient care team. And third, the deep problems in our current reimbursement system threaten to blow the whole thing up. All the work that you'll do to discover new drugs or help patients use them to get well and stay healthy is worth nothing if patients can't access their medicine. The problem isn't just that our system of financing and supply chains is perverse, opaque, and puts the patient last. It's also that these flaws have seriously harmed the experience of the pharmacists behind the counter and their ability to interact with patients. To understand how we got here and to advocate for changes that improve patient care, you have to understand the incentives in the broader system you face. The research is clear. When you help patients use medicines, you lower the total cost of care. But too many big players in the healthcare system see pharmacy as a place to claw back funds to increase short-term profit instead of investing in pharmacists to improve patient care and lower long-term costs. These are the same entities, by the way, that negotiate rebates, large discounts off the list price of a medicine that don't reach the patient at the pharmacy counter who actually uses the medicine. You know, the pharmacy counter is the one place in American healthcare where what a patient is asked to pay is not based on the price that the insurer has negotiated, like it is with a hospital or a doctor's office. Instead, what a patient pays is often based on the drug's list price, and the payers who receive most of these rebates can use them to lower premiums or cover additional services or pay their executives or put a fountain in front of the headquarters, whatever they want. One report found that in 2020, less than half of what we attribute to drug spending went to an entity other than the drug company that made the medicine. And it certainly didn't go to the patient. In some circumstances, what a patient will owe at the pharmacy counter will be more than the net price the payer actually paid for the medicine. We can do better. And here's how you can help. First, stay engaged with your professional associations and their advocacy activities, and walk your talk by providing high-quality care and contributing to innovative drug development. Every patient you see is a potential advocate for a system that relies on you more instead of paying you less. And second, seek or create practice settings that use pharmacists on care teams to improve long-term outcomes and lower the total cost of care. When I was a health plan executive, I saw physician practices hire pharmacists directly to provide direct patient care. Why? Because they were in value-based contracts. They contracted with Medicare or private health plans to provide better care at a lower cost. And when savings targets or quality bonuses were on the line, they knew that using a pharmacist to optimize medication use was an important part of that equation. And third, conduct or participate in the research on new care models and translate it into the language that health plans and employers understand. Healthcare's future is not more fee-for-service reimbursement, prior authorization, or clawbacks. It is value-based care models that reward those who slow the growth of healthcare spending while improving the care that patients receive. Now, I don't want to pretend that any of this will be easy. Healthcare consolidation has created giant conglomerates where 3 or 4 companies will be involved in nearly every prescription or almost any other healthcare service that a patient receives. But these large companies all work for employers of all sizes who are becoming increasingly frustrated with the current system. Embrace and advocate change that improves patient care and help healthcare's real purchasers realize the value of their prescription medicines. Now, the second reason I teared up when I took the oath and I heard that line is that everything I've shared with you today is deeply personal to me. Preparing these remarks helped me reflect on a career journey that has far surpassed my wildest expectations. I deserve zero credit for it. I didn't choose this career, it chose me. I really wanted to be a sports broadcaster when I grew up. But my mom got sick, and I became fascinated by prescription medicines and how they worked. And she fed that curiosity with a copy of the 1984 PDR and a subscription to the Encyclopedia of Science and Innovation. And that's when I heard all of those cool stories of pharmaceutical scientists, none older than you, who made amazing discoveries and changed the face of medicine. But if you've cared for someone with a chronic illness, you understand it's not just about the medicine. You quickly learn the importance of health insurance and fighting for access. And when changes in my family's circumstances showed me that the care you receive can be more about the card in your wallet than the pharmacist behind the counter. And those lessons were reinforced by a community pharmacist named Charlie. And Charlie taught me the business side of pharmacy practice and how laws and regulations made hundreds of miles away from his pharmacy affected the kind of care that he could provide. And Charlie's teachings were reinforced by county pharmacy association leaders who encouraged me to join my state association and the APHA Academy of Students of Pharmacy. Now, before I knew it, I was traveling to Washington, D.C. for conventions, for internships, for clerkships, and ultimately as the American Medical Student Association's Health Policy Fellow. You see, a dean I had never met of a medical school that I wasn't enrolled in told me to apply for a summer health policy experience for medical students. And when I told him that I wasn't a medical student and there must be some mistake, he said, "You just apply." And somehow in the summer of 1996, I joined 14 medical students in DC to learn health policy. And my key takeaway that summer was that I spoke the language of pharmacy and that patients, doctors, insurers, drug companies, and certainly members of Congress all spoke a different language. What if I could learn to speak all those languages? Could I do a better job helping my mom? Could I help the next patient at the pharmacy counter? As it's turned out, it's allowed me to write or shape policy that affects patients millions at a time. But that journey began as a kid worried about his mom and continued with the realization that even though I was training to be an expert in prescription medicines, I knew very little about how drugs were developed, priced, reimbursed, and valued by a healthcare ecosystem that I barely knew existed. So my challenge to you is that when the excitement of this ceremony is over, when you've posted your pictures to Instagram and added PharmD to your LinkedIn profile, that you sit quietly and think about what really motivates you. What's your calling? Is it changing the way that immunizations are delivered across this country like Dr. McKiernan? Or is it finding a cure for a rare disease to which there is no treatment and putting that next man on the moon? The education you received is valuable, but your passion and your calling is priceless. And it will ultimately be the catalyst from having a job to making a difference. So pay attention for that next tap on the shoulder. Now, today's ceremony is not just a well-deserved honor. The hood that you represent receives both your academic achievements and a profession that you'll swear an oath to uphold. Whether you're serving patients directly, are a researcher advancing care models, working at a health plan, or any business that wants lower costs and better health, you're a pharmacist or a pharmaceutical scientist with an opportunity to improve patient care. It was once said to me that the best way to predict the future is to create it. So I'll leave you with this parting thought. Be the future that you want to create, and it will be here more quickly than you could have imagined. And if you do that, you'll have some pretty cool stories to tell the class of 2050. Thank you very much for having me today. Congratulations, graduates, and go Cougs.
Thank you so much for that thoughtful and inspiring speech, Dr. O'Brien. Now, before we begin the hooding ceremony, I want to thank Albertsons Companies again for sponsoring this ceremony. Thank you. Graduates, Albertsons representatives will be handing you a small gift as you leave the stage today. And now we're ready to begin hooding. Please welcome Interim Chair of the Pharmaceutical Sciences Department, Dr. Kay Meyer, who will be presenting 2024 candidates for the Doctor of Philosophy degree in the Pharmaceutical Sciences and Molecular Medicine.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Will the candidates for class of 2024 graduate degrees in pharmaceutical sciences and molecular medicine please stand? Dean Lead, I take pleasure in presenting candidates for the Doctor of Philosophy in Pharmaceutical Sciences and Molecular Medicine. Will the candidates please come forward? Baron Bechtold. Baron's dissertation is titled Disease, Natural Product, and Drug-Mediated Pharmacokinetic Interactions of Hepatic Organic Anion Transporting Polypeptides 1B1 and 1B3 using transgenic humanized OATP1B mice. Victoria Oyana. Victoria's dissertation is titled Solubility and Transporter Mechanisms of Pharmacokinetic Intestinal Natural Product Drug Interactions. Ketty Barty. Ketty's dissertation is titled Investigation of the Potential Drug-Drug Interactions Between Commonly Prescribed Benzodiazepines and Cannabinoids. Shelby Metra. Shelby's dissertation is titled Investigation of the Potential Drug-Drug Interactions Between Commonly Prescribed Opioids and Cannabinoids. For the next student, I would like to invite Vice Chair of Pharmaceutical Sciences Department, John Clark, to read her name.
Pravita Balipajali. Pravita's dissertation is titled Characterization of Roles of the Lysophosphatidic Acid CCN1 Signaling Axis in Human Prostate Cancer Cells.
James Nguyen. James' dissertation is titled Assessing Mechanisms of Golden Seal Drug Interactions Using a Translational Research Approach, an iterative process integrating in vitro kinetics, PBPK modeling, and clinical evaluation. Peter Obi. Peter's dissertation is titled Deciphering and Targeting Transmembrane Allosteric Sites of GPCRs, Tackling Challenges with Physics-Based Methods and Artificial Intelligence. Farheen Sheikh. Farheen's dissertation is titled The Role of the Tweak FN14 Axis in the TNF-alpha-Induced Pathogenesis of Rheumatoid Arthritis.
Presenting the 2024 Doctor of Pharmacy Research Honors candidates will be Pharmaceutical Sciences Professor Dr. Mary Payne.
Will the candidates from the Doctor of Pharmacy class of 2024 Research Honors Program please stand? Are we here? I will read the names and their dissertations, titles. I will wait. Dean Lead, I take pleasure in presenting these candidates for the Doctor of Pharmacy with Research Honors degree. Will the candidates come forward? You've done that. First one is Kanisha Garcia Torres. Kanisha's dissertation is titled Investigating the Mechanism for the Pharmacokinetic Interaction Between Metformin and Golden Seal. Frederick Lionhard. Fred's dissertation is titled Production, Isolation, and Purification of Human Omega Amidase and Screening of a Small Library of Potential Inhibitors.
Will the brilliant and resilient class of 2024 PharmD class please stand? Dean Lee, it is my great pleasure and honor to introduce to you the graduating class of 2024.
The Spokane and Yakima students graduating today were gifted crimson and grey cords to wear during this ceremony. Our Yakima class can be distinguished by their crimson cord, and our Spokane class a grey cord. We'll start with the Spokane class first. Kenrick Olland Nelson. David Abramov. Adrian Baker. Olga Belavas. Caitlin Bellacara. Sawyer Beerscheid. Jordan Binder.